Hello? Okay, I feel like this is a bit high. So, yesterday I was on the treadmill and I was walking for a bit, and then I was thinking about how my roommates are always listening to podcasts. Like, they're both very productive and they'll wake up earlier than me. And, like, while they're making breakfast and getting ready for the day and stuff, they'll always be listening to podcasts. So, I was like, I I should take a leaf out of their book. So I went and I found this podcast that was called like Grey Matters, and I picked this random podcast that was about like microjoys. And it was being hosted by this like very American lady. Her name was like Cindy Spiele. No, wait, sorry. It was Cindy Spiegel. And um I was kind of skeptical at first because like Americans, sorry, big generalization coming, can be like very fake happy, especially like from when I was living in San Francisco and in LA. I got that vibe a lot. So I was a bit like, I don't really know if this is going to be like a good video. And she started talking about microjoys, which is basically where you have these like tiny little moments of happiness in your daily life. And I was kind of like very shocked because it was something that I was actually thinking about doing. Because so I haven't been doing this YouTube channel very regularly, and I do care about minimalism, but I don't know if I like it as much as I used to. So I was thinking about if I were going to kind of pivot the channel's topic, what would I want to talk about? And the first thing that came to my mind was sort of like the tiny, like little beautiful things that you see every day. Like that would be something that I would want to highlight, like just having little bright moments in every day. And I was listening to this podcast, and it was basically the lady was saying exactly that. And I was like, that's a little bit weird. Okay. And it's actually based on a concept from psychology called savoring, where basically you kind of, it's almost like happiness is a conscious choice to an extent. Like, I'm not saying that you can choose to be happy all the time, but you can choose to expand the happiness when you notice it. So, an example might be like being like going outside for the first time of the day and then noticing that the sky is really blue and clear, which it isn't today. I was actually really hoping I could make this video on like a sunny day. It looks very miserable. Um, but I told myself I would film this anyways. So my micro of the day is not, it's not the sky, but it could be something like maybe you make your toast perfectly, or like you see a very cute dog on the street, and being able to savor those tiny little moments is kind of building like a level of internal happiness over time. Like it's something that comes from within you, and it isn't necessarily small, but I think she phrased it in the podcast as being like very easily accessible. So I was thinking about how the economy is bad. And in my econ class, the conclusion is always kind of the more money you have, the better. And so obviously for my generation that's going to be kind of difficult to earn a lot of money, and people are very concerned about the economy and whether they can buy a house or if they can buy a car. And we're seeing like a general rise in people spending money more on these small luxuries, right? Because they can't really afford to buy, or they don't think that they'll be able to afford these big purchases in the future. So they're like, well, I may as well make myself happy now. And so people are buying things like very expensive skincare, like I think it's very popular in Korea right now. And they're buying these like overpriced matcha lattes, and we're seeing the rise in so many collectible toys. So many of them. I feel like the main one is jelly cats, but there seems to be like a new trend of like little collectible toys that come out, and they're like kind of overpriced. They're like $50 or something or more, but people are buying them. There is such a demand for them because people want that little spike in happiness that is kind of reassuring them in a way. I think it's definitely something that I've noticed myself doing, where even though I spent so many years like thinking about minimalism and talking about it and trying to share it, I find myself so frequently almost wanting like comfort myself by buying something. And maybe that's like, I don't know, more of a general view that people my age are having, or people just these days in general are having. So I was like thinking about this because of the podcast, and I feel like this rise in consumerism is kind of the opposite of what microjoys is talking about, because it's so accessible, it's completely free, and I don't know, it's just like it's very interesting to me that someone has taken something that I've been thinking about, and it turns out that there was like a whole concept for it this whole time, and I managed to choose it like randomly from a random podcast. And I mean, I don't want to tell people to like stop buying all of their collectible items that are making them happy, but I do want to question sort of why do you feel the need to buy these things? What kind of what problem is it solving when you buy the item? And it does make me worry because the joy that you're getting from buying a new item is very short lived. Like if it's something consumable, once you eat it, it's gone. And I don't know if you really like think back on it again after you've eaten it, or if you do buy something more permanent like a toy, like a jelly cat, how long does it take before you get used to it and before you want the next thing? And oh, sorry. And I think that is how you kind of like, if you're always attaching your happiness to material goods, or you're using material goods as a kind of pick me up for your mental state, then those collectible items are going to build up over time. It's like a pattern I'm noticing, not just in my life but in everyone's lives around me, and it makes me wonder whether, like, will we all become hoarders if we keep collecting all of these things, because we buy them for the purpose of making ourselves happy. Like maybe we go out on a nice day trip and then there's a souvenir and you buy something. There is no way I'm going to want to throw that away in the future, if it's, especially if it's something that someone, if they gave it to me and they've kind of put me in charge of this new item. I don't want to throw it away because it's kind of like a material proof of our friendship. When I think through these thoughts again, it makes me think about, oh wait, that's kind of like the whole point of why I started minimalism, because I had so much excess stuff, and all of it was a lot of like emotional hoarding. And I think that microjoys are kind of the opposite and the solution for this, because it's opening up a space where you can actually appreciate the small things. And I think if you're trying to fill your life with these different purchases, it becomes very hard to see past those purchases and harder to appreciate smaller things, especially if you've been like doing it for a while and then they kind of build up into like a big clutter, and you're sort of left with this giant pile of things. Like it makes it difficult to appreciate other things when there is just so many, I wouldn't say distractions, but they're kind of distractions when they're like always around you in a way. And at the same time, I remember when I was like 13 and I was making these minimalism videos, I used to get a lot of like grumpy comments of people saying like, well, if you throw everything out, then like you're just gonna have to like buy it again. And what is the point of throwing everything away? Like, you're gonna be so miserable. But the whole point that I think I've said so many times, and I think is like my main benefit is that you get to actually emphasize the things that you do really care about. So the sentimental items that you've had for I don't even know how long. Like I have these tarot cards that I've had since I was 11, or like I don't know, like a little cuddly toy that I've had since I was a baby. It's these kind of things that I want to treasure and have on display and be reminded, oh, I have this item, or like, oh, I should take care of this item. And I think if you have so many other things that are kind of crowding around them, it makes it harder to appreciate them and harder to be happier, kind of. Because I think in the way that we're talking about microjoys is kind of like you would end the day just 1% happier than the previous day. And then the next day, if you take the time to sort of consciously savor a small happy moment, then it makes you feel like 1% happier. And then you would wake up the next day a little bit more happy and a little bit more happy. And hopefully that would build up over time. And you wouldn't be as externally controlled by like the new trends that are coming out, the new products and clothes and things. I don't know. Maybe this is all like basic knowledge to people, but I spent a semester studying abroad in Seoul, and I feel like I kind of went back to square one because um in Korea, I mean, I was staying in a district called Dongdaemun, which is very popular for shopping. So maybe I was influenced by that as well. But I feel like I became much more materially focused. There were about 5 different Olive Young, like cosmetic, personal healthcare, skincare stores. Um, there were like 5 of them within walking distance. Within like 10 minutes, I think I could get to so many different Olive Young stores. And they have these like huge adverts of beautiful celebrities plastered everywhere on billboards. And there is a lot of pressure to look a certain way and to kind of keep up with the trends. And like I remember I was going thrifting with this Korean friend that I had made, and we were having such a good time. And then I was going through this one rack and I was like, oh, this t-shirt is so cute. And she goes like, yeah, but I mean, you can't really wear that anymore because it was popular like 5 months ago. And I was like, okay. I didn't know that's how clothes worked here. But I did start to notice like a trend of like people genuinely do kind of wear the same things. Like when something becomes popular, everybody wears it. And then within a few months there'll be a new cycle and then another cycle, and then it kind of keeps going. And it was very scary like getting off that train when I finished like my study abroad, and then at the end of the year like I went away. It was really strange to have that experience of like, oh, I actually don't need to keep up with that pressure all the time. And it felt like very relieving and also worrying at the same time for the people of Korea. I really hope that they aren't also feeling that same pressure. Like I'm hoping it's something I felt just because I was an outsider. um I mean, I've talked to some of my Korean friends and then they also said similar things, which doesn't fill me with joy. uh But yeah, maybe they have something to benefit from microjoys as well. I don't really know. Like I'm in Argentina right now. That's where I'm filming from. And I I like the city. I like it. I don't want to sound ungrateful because not many people get this opportunity, obviously. I I think that something I have learned from the city is about taking small breaks for myself. Obviously, I'm like a junior student, so the pressure is kind of ramping up. And I really enjoy how Buenos Aires has a lot of like different parks and green spaces. So, like, if I walk a few blocks, then I can easily reach like a very nice park, and people will just be like lying in the grass, even if it's like, I don't know, 4 p.m. on a Tuesday. People will be there, or like I don't know, like it's just very common at any time of the day, on any day of the week, there will be like some shirtless guy enjoying the sun in the middle of the city, and everyone else will be like walking past in their work clothes and stuff. Like it's interesting to see. And I was really curious, and I was like, can it really be that fun? So I started this new habit of like just walking around to different parks in the city and just sitting in the grass and doing nothing for like 10, 15 minutes. It's actually quite difficult to do nothing. It's difficult to sort of not distract yourself. Um, and I feel like my mind runs through like a million different things I could be doing at that time. But I think that making that time for myself has made it a lot easier to appreciate like everyday life here. So it is leaving in the same way as like getting rid of some of your things that you don't need anymore is opening up like a mental space for you to think. Also, leaving your home and just going somewhere without the intention of like completing a task, like meeting a friend or buying something or doing a chore, but leaving the house just to sort of sit on a bench outside for 10 minutes is where the micro joys really kind of flourish. And I think it's such a nice habit to start. And I really recommend it. So you should try. Thank you for sitting with me on my balcony. Hopefully next time I can make one when the weather is a bit nicer, because the view is actually really pretty. I don't know what's wrong with it today. It's supposed to be summer. You know, it I'm coming from miserable UK. I was really hoping for the South American summer to hit me. It's like 16 degrees and I'm wearing a jacket, and it's the equivalent of like almost peak summer here. So maybe next time. See you soon. Bye.